Hello and welcome to the Beat Cancer Answer, brought to you by BeatCancer.Org, the Center for Advancement in Cancer Education. We believe that 90% of all cancers could be eliminated through environmental and lifestyle choices alone, and science agrees. Unfortunately, most people don't know it. So we provide the education that can help you prevent, cope with, and beat cancer through diet, lifestyle, and other immune-boosting approaches. On every podcast, we will feature an expert who can teach us how to become part of that 90% who could prevent getting diagnosed with cancer. If you already have cancer, we have empowering information for you too. Over the past 40 years, we have helped thousands of cancer patients get back into the driver's seat when it comes to their personal journey of healing cancer and preventing future reoccurrence. Join us on this episode as Debbie Melamed interviews Elissa Goodman, holistic nutritionist, lifestyle cleanse expert, and author of Cancer Hacks.
Today we have with us Elissa Goodman. She is a holistic nutritionist and lifestyle cleanse expert. After being diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma at 32 years of age, she diverted from traditional treatment after a stint with radiation and explored holistic alternatives that eventually helped her to beat her disease. Today she has a thriving practice in Los Angeles. She's the creator of 4 food-based cleanse programs and the author of Cancer Hacks, a holistic guide to overcoming your fears and healing cancer. You can check her website, and you can also purchase her book at Amazon.com. She has incredibly healthy and delicious recipes, as well as healthy lifestyle tips on her website, www.elissagoodman.com. You can also find her on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Welcome, Elissa. It's so nice to have you with us today.
It's so nice to be here, and always an honor, Debbie, to talk to someone like yourself, who's also putting a very beautiful message out there.
Yeah, we have a great message to share today. I really enjoyed your website. It had so many interviews and great information and delicious recipes, and it's such a great resource. But I thought maybe you could start by telling us your story.
Oh, my goodness.
I know.
Do you have an hour? No, condense it very, very quickly. I've learned to condense it, but I'm sure a lot of people could relate to this because I see it so often. But I was brought up with two type A parents and a household. They're very successful, very motivated, very smart, and so there was a lot of pressure in the house to perform. And I think I came into the world, I did come into the world not with the healthiest immune system. So as a baby, I was in the hospital for a little while before I could go home. I had low red blood cell count when I was young. I was always getting sick. And every time, even as I got into my early 8, 9, 10, I couldn't even have a sleepover without getting sick. So it was, I sort of felt like I was always playing catch up. And then it was not only catch up with my health, but it was catch up with, oh my God, I'm not keeping up with my parents and what they want from me. So it did create a tremendous amount of stress in my life. And so I think that I lived with that stress for years. And, but I didn't know any better. I graduated college, went to New York, and I got into the advertising marketing business and continued to live a very fast-paced, stressful life. And I didn't eat very well. My mom, in my early years, took sugar out of our house, and that was the worst thing she could have done because I craved it. And I couldn't get enough of it because I couldn't get it home. She took potato chips. She took the crappy food. And so I ate very crappy. I knew better, but there was this other part of me that was like, oh my God, I'm deprived of it. So I couldn't get enough of it elsewhere. So that didn't help with my, sort of chronic fatigue and not in my immune system. Because again, I was always getting sick in New York and also the stress of the job and trying to be successful really at an early age
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to keep up with my family. And then I was diagnosed with cancer at 32. I had moved to LA with my husband, and I was super excited about the move because I thought we could just live a little bit of slower paced life than New York. And I basically I pushed him to move here. And then once we moved here, I got diagnosed with a cancer. And it was a huge wake-up call because things weren't working in my life. And I already knew deep down in my gut, but I don't think I was ever going to fully admit it. And at the time, I realized, wow, now I don't have a choice. I have to admit that things aren't working and I have to make some changes. So I dove into, it was an early stage of Hodgkin's lymphoma, and the doctors were very scary in what they were telling me that my prognosis was, or the kinds of treatment that I was going to have. And I hadn't had kids yet, so it all scared me even more because I thought, what if this precludes me from having healthy babies? So I ended up meeting with 3 doctors, and my third doctor was so amazing. He sat me down and he said to me, it's an early stage. You don't look happy. You look stressed. What's been going on in your life? The cancer comes on from the stress, a lot of different factors. But he just took a look at me, and I burst into tears. And I'm like, I'm so unhappy. It's been such a hard move moving to LA. It's not so easy to meet people. I had a job that was so stressful, and it was just a really difficult transition. Plus, my life had been really stressful, and I don't think I'd ever given myself the chance to relax. And so he said, I think we can treat it not with chemo, but with some radiation, and let's see how we can do to change your lifestyle. And that was the light bulb. It was like, wow, here's a doctor who really cares.
Right.
And took the time to he could see right through me and see that I was unhappy and stressed. And so that's when I dove into, I went to therapy, of course, in those days. And I started to try to meditate, read every self-help book I got my hands on. I went to yoga. I started juicing because here in LA, there was a juice place called Beverly Hills Juice. So it was a little ahead of its time, and that because that was 25 years ago or so. Okay. So I juiced. I became a vegan, not a healthy one because I didn't really know how to. But there was Mrs. Gooch's before Whole Foods. So there was beautiful produce here compared to New York. And so I basically, and veganism seemed to be more prevalent here than it did East Coast.
Right.
So I went down that route, and I did half the radiation that my doctor had recommended. I didn't stick with him, the guy that I was just talking about. I went back to a place that was closer to my home base. I found a radiologist that did half the radiation, and I changed my lifestyle, and I feel like that really did cure me, help me, and open my eyes. And I went on to have 2 healthy girls. Today they are 22 and 19. But 11 years later, my husband was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So another wake-up call happened, and a very scary one. He didn't believe in the same modalities that I did in regards to really taking a look at his life. He just basically handed himself over to the doctors, and he was very young at the time. He was 43, and they did a ton of chemo. They did 2 bone marrow transplants in a year and a half, which is a little bit unheard of because whose immune system could support that?
Right.
And a year and a half later, he ended up passing away of fungal pneumonia.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So it was a really dark, traumatic time. And I had a 10 and a 7-year-old at home.
Oh, dear.
I know. It was really, really horrible. And it was on all three of us. And I hadn't been working since I had my second daughter. So 7-8 years I hadn't been working, and he was the provider, and I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen now? And then I realized they had two parents who had cancer and that had been sick.
Right.
And so I went back to 2 years after he passed away. I went back to school to a program and got certified in Eastern and Western nutrition because I really wanted to learn for myself and for them how to help heal us and how to, get us healthier. Really, bottom line, I felt like I really didn't know enough. And I wanted to teach them I wanted to learn all the different modalities that I could to, have them have the healthiest life because I knew they were going to be afraid because they had these two parents that had cancer. I mean, how could you not mentally be thinking, wow, my parents had cancer, I'll probably get cancer. A lot of us do that, right?
They do.
My
Even
mom had breast cancer, so I'm going to have breast cancer. Yeah, exactly. So, but our mind really does play, tricks on us, and it's so powerful. So I did that, and then I got hired after I graduated by Cafe Gratitude. It's a vegan restaurant in Los Angeles, and it had come down from San Francisco. A friend had brought it down, and she asked me to put a cleanse together for them, and I knew nothing about cleansing. So I dove into helping them. It was very easy because their food is very cleansing. It was raw vegan, and for 3.5 years, I took care of all the cleansers. I put all the marketing material together. I created the cleanse. It was so fun because it was really my medical training. I got to find out all the different ailments from all the cleansers. A lot of them didn't do so well on this raw vegan cleanse because they weren't used to eating that way. And they did have health issues. So a year into creating the Cafe Gratitude Cleanse, M Cafe, it's a macrobiotic restaurant in Los Angeles that's been around longer than Cafe Gratitude. They asked me to put a cleanse together for them, which I'm still doing. It's called Reset Your Life with M Cafe. And that was more how I ate. So I was super excited because it was raw, it was cold, and it was cooked, and it also had a little bit of animal protein.
Okay.
And so it had tempeh and tofu, and it had fish.
Okay.
So I thought it was more balanced, and it was. When I handheld those cleansers, they definitely didn't have as many issues as the ones with the Cafe Gratitude. Okay. And then I did a cleanse for Erewhon, which is a natural food market here, for about a year. And actually, at the moment, I have juices that I created for them at Erewhon. It's called, one is Elissa's Thyroid Juice, one is Elissa's Immunity Juice, because I still am a big juicer, and I love juicing. And so then, 2.5 years ago, I created my own soup cleanse. So I cook and deliver twice a month in LA to 42 people of those weeks. So it's about, give or take, it's about 85 people a month. And it's not just soup, so it's sort of misleading by the name because we have a detox tonic in the morning that's really beneficial with liquid probiotics. And then we have a homemade protein bar, and then we have a bone broth, then we have salads and homemade salad dressings and fermented veggies and soups and lattes. And so
wow, that sounds amazing.
It is. It's been so much fun. So I handhold those people twice a month, and that's been so gratifying. And it's fun to be able to cook for others and to have them be able to experience eating, not being deprived from food, and eating really clean and eating anti-inflammatory. It's kind of simple. It's about going back to the basics of just of just eating real food and lightening up on, taking away the sugar and the gluten and the dairy that are inflammatory and lightening up on the animal protein, giving yourself a break. I mean, I'm not opposed to all of those things. I'm very much a flexitarian, but if someone does have a health issue and we do take them off of those foods, they do feel better in 5 days. I mean, 5 days is the amount of time you can reset your body. So
yeah, it does seem like the gluten and dairy and the sugar are weighing people down.
Yeah. It's just because we overdo it. I think, in the old days we didn't. And I think that we overdo the coffee. We just overdo everything in our lives, right?
Because like you said, everyone's trying to perform. This culture is very go, go, go. And the coffee and the sugar keep you going. So I think that's what people just go to. And then nothing really happens till there's a wake-up call of a diagnosis.
Yeah.
So it's a shame that people don't realize before that. But
I know, but we haven't been educated. I mean,
no, we haven't.
We just watched the other night. Debbie, have you watched What Your Health yet?
I've just got a link for that, and I'm going to watch it.
Okay. You'll have to tell me after you watch it, but that was scary.
Really?
But there's, we're not educated at a mass level enough about the detriments of these things and the idea of overdoing it. So that's, we have a political system, as you know, that is involved in wanting us to eat and drink certain things, and that is sort of what we've had to live with and deal with as we, so you're right, until there's a health issue, usually people don't wake up, or unless someone in their family starts to have a health issue. So
it's about 1 in 2 people getting a cancer diagnosis in their lifetime now. So
yes, it's pretty much,
it's
pretty high. I know. It's pretty high, isn't it? And the autoimmune stuff that we were talking about earlier. I mean, it's the fastest growing illness.
Right.
Hashimoto's is on the rise, and hypothyroidism, and all these lupus and Crohn's and diabetes, right? I mean,
it really is.
It's just rampant. So it definitely is sad and scary, because as someone like myself that I have been through all of that, I do know that you can change your life and feel better. And it's not that hard, but I think people feel like it's climbing Mount Everest.
Right. Now, did you kind of feel like it was brand new, or were you connected to yoga and some other things?
No, I wasn't at all. I thought I did go to a health ranch with my mom a handful of times in the 70s, early 80s, Rancho La Puerta in Tecate, Mexico, and because she had asthma, so she would go to feel better. And they did all of that there, but I hated it. I mean, the thought of meditating at 18 years old was excruciating. And yoga, it's so slow. I mean, at that point, I wanted to do the aerobics or the, Jane Fonda workout. So climb a mountain.
I understand that.
And the food tasted awful. It was like bland food that lots of veggies, and I wasn't connected to it, but I did get to watch these women that she went with and herself, but I didn't register it till later, after 7 days, because you're there for a solid 7 days and you're off the radar. There's no phone, there's no TV. I did see them become different people in 7 days.
That's really neat.
And I watched that with my cleansers. In 5 days, these people are really different people. They have more energy. They sleep better. Their skin is better. And it's just almost mind-boggling that it's only 5 days that you can, feel better. I mean, so you think that, wow, if it's only 5 days, how come more people aren't doing this? But it's hard to commit.
It's not really when you go into the supermarket. I mean, what's on TV with all the commercials? I mean, it just seems like this is what's presented, it just seems normal.
Mm-hmm.
You pick what's on the shelf. It's there for a reason.
You do.
Everyone, this is our supermarket.
I know, exactly.
I find it amazing when I see people's carts. I'm like, wow, people really buy that.
I know. I cringe. I mean, I think my family and my kids, they'll get a little annoyed with me because I'm always making comments, and I have to stop. I really do. But it's like, really? You're going to go have that? You're going to have a pizza at midnight? You're going to, so.
I think the other thing that's really interesting, too, because I was a personal trainer for a while, and people would come to me and want to know what to eat. And they're like, well, I really need to cook. And I would say, yes, you do need to cook. And I don't think people really know how to cook or what food. Even I volunteered at gardens in my children's school, and the children didn't really know what these different vegetables were. And I'm in a pretty affluent area. So it's really, really interesting to me. Maybe it goes back to what you were talking about before with everyone being in such a rush and being on the road. I mean, a lot of people are on the road, and they're just grabbing whatever works.
Yeah, right. And they're stressed out. They're stressed. We're not allowing you, we were talking earlier, you were saying about, just the practices of getting yourself, what are the nurturing things that you can do for yourself. I mean, nobody has time because you're right. There's such limited time because they are traveling to work, or they feel so compelled to, these days, even with social media, to be a success so young and early because they're seeing so much of it out there. It's such a detriment. Even my girls, I watch how they don't ever give themselves a chance to relax. And it's always like, well, what can I do next to just get better?
Right.
And it's just achieve instead of, replenish.
When you said you were kind of you were healing by listening to your gut and daily renewal practices, what types of things worked for you?
So I'm a believer in all different modalities, and I believe in Western medicine absolutely, and drugs when you need it. I also believe that there's a higher power and so 10 years ago, I went to see an energy healer. It's a little bit like Reiki. It's a little bit like a psychic. They're like a combination of these things. And the woman, I remember, ended up, when I left her after a 2-hour session, I felt like I had just had 10 years of therapy that had just been released from me. I think that we come into the world with certain patterns in our DNA and in our tissues and in our, our psyche. And then as we continue in the world, we have things that happen to us like trauma over the years. I mean, it could be just simple things too, where a best friend, slights you or is mean to you. I mean, depending on the type of person, I just think there's all these things that happen to us that really are traumatic to some, maybe not to others. But I know for me, I was a very sensitive being. So I held on to all these traumas, and I think I had a lot of PTSD, post-traumatic stress. I mean, I think that a lot of things happened in my family and my life that caused me, I never was able to really speak up and say, hey, I don't like that. I had to kind of just be the good girl and be like, okay, I got to take it. And that causes a lot of health issues down the road. And so this healer was able to help me release a lot of that angst, anxiety, trauma that I was going through and repeating, because I kept saying, I can't do that because of XYZ, and I'll never be a success, or I'll never be able to public speak, or, I'll never be able to help somebody. I mean, there were all these preconceived things that I had in my head. And she was, right, exactly.
I guess that causes energy blockages. And
it does.
Right.
It absolutely does. I mean, I know it sounds very LA. I'm sounding very guru LA, but it was so powerful. And I've seen about 4 healers over the years. There are a lot of bad ones. There's out there in the world in psychics. I don't love that. I don't love someone telling me the future, but I love someone helping me reprogram and get myself back in my body,
right,
and making me feel like anything's possible, because I believe that for all of us, anything's possible. So, but we do get out of body and we start to go back to those thought patterns, right? That's not possible. I'm never going to find a man, or I'm never going to be healthy, but that to me is so powerful. So that has been, that is why I'm here today. That is why mostly I'm doing what I'm doing, is I was able to ask for help and have someone help me release all of those negative thought patterns and baggage that I was carrying around that were just harming me and just weighing me down. So, and making me feel like I couldn't accomplish anything and I couldn't reinvent myself.
Right.
And be a different person.
Cancer's a wake-up call to see what changes you need to make. So
yeah.
I guess you explored a lot of those avenues.
Yeah. I did that. I do a lot of, I do meditation and yoga. I feel all of those things these days, gets me back into my head. I'm an Aries, so I can get very out of body very quickly. Okay. And I'm very driven, and I think, get that from my family. So that hasn't gone away. So I feel like I constantly need to remind myself, you got to stop and breathe and reset and replenish. And I think that has been also the hugest learning lesson for me overall, because I do like to go and accomplish. And so I do that. The meditation is huge every day, and I listen to night clearings just to kind of clear myself from my clients during the day, because they come in with a lot of energy. And people out in the world, today are not very happy, and so I take on a lot of times that energy, so I have to clear that. I do believe in crystals too, so I do have crystals that help balance and ground me, and I love shungite cubes, and so everybody's room in the house has these shungite cubes that help, balance the energy, as well as, take away electromagnetic frequencies.
Oh, that's really neat.
Which we are bombarded by.
Yes, we are.
So when my husband was sick, I remember the house we were living in. It was an old house that we had remodeled, and a friend of mine kept saying, I want to come over with my EMF machine. I'm like, what the hell is that? And she did after he passed away. And you will not believe this, Debbie, but when she went around and tested the electromagnetic frequencies, that were kind of happening in the house, on his side of the bed, it was off the charts high.
Wow.
And I was just blown away. Mine wasn't as high, and I still not sure what that is attributed to, if it was maybe wiring in the wall, or, maybe not grounded wiring, because we took this old house and, I don't really know.
There could have been a smart meter or wiring, you're right.
Yeah. So I think there are all these things that we are exposed to, and over the years, it's mold, it's energy, and a lot of times we don't even know that it's in us, it's on us. We're with people who are kind of toxic, and we're not really sure how to. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. You said it. So I think it does a detriment, and I think a lot of people don't really speak up and know how to get away from it, or they're not aware of it. And I think that is a huge part of my practice. I try to, when I sit down with a client for about 2 hours, and we go all the way back to birth. Like, how was your birth, if they remember it? And did you come into a happy, healthy world? Was it safe? In some cultures, the mom carries that baby for a year, or never puts the baby down. I mean, in our culture, we put them in the next room months after they're born. So sometimes I think
get them independent, right?
Exactly. You got to sleep on your own, right? Shut that door, get the baby monitor on. So, I think for some people, I think it's totally fine, and then others are different. So and then
EMFs from the baby monitor too, right?
I never thought about that. Next to your bed, next to your head, right?
Yeah.
Now it's the phone and the computer, and I know it's definitely like it's an exciting time and it's a scary time, as you probably experience, because it's exciting because there's so much out there information that hasn't been out there before, but then it's that's the other thing. There's so much information, so it's overload, so people shut down. And then there's technology is slowly doing a number on us.
But it sounds like you learned how to nourish yourself in a lot of different ways.
Yes, I definitely am not always so good, but I do also get reflexology foot massages once a week. That's because all your pressure points are in your feet. Mm-hmm. That is one of my loves that I absolutely can't live without. And, it's really connecting with nature, going on hikes and being out in in nature is huge.
I think that's a big one too.
Right?
Sunshine.
So, and the food. So the food that we cook and that I cook for others, it's like I put a lot of love and intention into it, because I do believe that it's all about, when your mom made dinner for you or she made chicken soup when you were sick, there was something kind of magical about that.
Right.
When you came home, right, and had dinner with the family and it was a meal that you wanted to eat, even if it wasn't healthy, I think that there's just such beauty, and that was the time that you exhaled and you're like, oh, wow, like
right. It's a way of loving.
Yeah, it's nurturing and nourishing. So I definitely try to do that with the family. We eat dinner a lot of nights together with, of course, no electronics, and we do cook, and I do try to put a lot of intention into the food, and I do that with my cleanse. I basically, on my first drink in the morning, it's called a detox tonic, and my operations manager and myself always have a difference of opinion on this drink. But for the first 8 months we were making this drink, it has coconut kefir, which is fermented coconut water. It has aloe vera, fresh lemon juice, and ginger juice, and a little cayenne, and it has a liquid probiotic. And so it has this, and it had filtered water. And then 8 months in, I found this water place that was selling love water. So again, sounds very LA, very guru, but it was alkaline water that had been blessed and intentioned with love. It had gratitude, love, and harmony were these spigots that you would pour the water out of. So I started buying the love water. We're still using it today, and now we're selling that detox tonic by the gallons.
That's really neat. And people can order that?
In LA they can, contact us, and we will make it for them. So there was a juice place here that was selling it that's since closed. But she says, oh no, it's just because the way I make the drink. And I'm like, it's the love water.
It is the love water.
Right? I mean, it's so interesting. And the cleanse, I have a healer that infuses the cleanse with really wonderful energy now, because it's really exhausting for the two of us to be able to do that. The cleanse goes out twice a week, and I swear since January she's been doing it. It's a whole different ball game.
Wow, that's really
the cleanse sells out every time we do it. It wasn't before. We have a wait list, and we don't get like we used to get a lot of complaints like, oh, things are too salty, or, I got a stomach ache, I'm bloated, I'm, constipated, all the things, I have a headache, I'm not feeling good. I swear we get maybe a third of the complaints that we used to.
That's incredible.
I know. So I'm still, I'm a little bit hesitant to say that it's her, but it's interesting to watch it happen.
That's really
in the
great.
transition. Yeah.
Now, can people order any cleanses long distance?
Well, I have a 21-day do-it-yourself cleanse that is on my website that I've had on there for like 4 years now. And in 2 weeks, that cleanse will be completely revamped. So at the beginning of August, I hope to have it's going to be all new recipes, all new emails, support from me. So anybody out of LA will be able to, but they do have to cook it. So that's the only caveat. But it will have, healing journals and healing audios and yoga and meditation and supplements. And so it will have a lot of different modalities to it. But that will be available the 1st of August.
Okay.
So
that's very exciting.
That is exciting. Yeah. I'm excited about that. So, and there'll be community calls and, people can definitely, I'm loading up today an Ask Elissa page on my website because I get a lot of emails. But I really love helping people. So people can go on anonymously and ask me any question that they want, and I'll answer any kind of health concern, anything that they need help with. So sometimes it's
wonderful.
Like a whole different step to actually email me. So hopefully with having this on the website, I can help a lot more people.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I also want to talk about your book, too, Cancer Hacks.
Yes.
So tell us about the book and why you wanted to write a book.
Well, the book came out last July, and it basically is the story of what I learned and through my cancer and my husband's cancer, and what we did right and what we did wrong, and all the different things that I learned afterwards that potentially could cause cancer, because it's not just one thing, as you know, and I know. So there's a lot of different factors that have to come together that can make it happen. And like you said, it's, a lot of us still think it's genetic, but it's such a, 10% genetic if it's that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, so it really is just a story of, what I've learned throughout the years and how I've helped clients, and just about emotion. Well, everything we talked about just now, like the emotional components, the not feeling good enough, the stress, and then it's the chemicals and the toxins, and it's the eating and sleeping and just all the things that people do know about, but it's all in one place. And what you can do if any of these, one of these hacks do speak to you, there are different things you can do to simply, begin to sleep better, to lessen your anxiety, to be able to, be able to like talk to someone about your issues, because I think that's huge. I mean, I don't think we do talk to people enough about the things that are going on with us, and we keep them all bottled up inside. So that's what the book is. It's about. It's really about my story, and it was 2 years in the making. It was really hard to do. Have you written a book? Because it's so hard.
I bet it is.
It's like everyone's like, "When's the next one? When's the next one?" I'm like, "Oh, you guys, I do have an idea for the next one, but it's like I can't even begin to think about what it's going to take, because I have I was an empty nester, and I have my 22-year-old moved home, graduated college, and is working, and then my fiance is 22-year-old, graduated, and is doing the same thing, and then I have a 19-year-old who's a freshman going into her sophomore year, so they all are home for the summer.
Oh,
and
wow.
It was like, yeah, it was a little like, what just happened?
Yeah. It's
my
a lot
life
of cooking,
just stopped.
too. It's a lot of food.
Yes.
And
Yeah, and a lot of emotions in one house.
Right.
So
I've
anyway,
loved your recipes on your website. They looked absolutely amazing.
We talked about this earlier. I mean, I love to eat. I've always loved to eat. I love food, and food. Food could taste good, and again, it could be simple and it could taste really good. So that's what I'm trying to teach people. I do these really fun lunch and learns in Los Angeles where women invite their friends, up 10, 15, 20 women to their house, and my assistant operations manager comes in and cooks lunch for them, and then I come in and we do a nutrition talk. And it's so fun to be able to
really fun.
Sit around the table and have people experience your food. Because I'm never going to open a restaurant. That just will never happen.
That's a lot of work, yeah.
Yeah, that's not in my DNA. But it's fun to be able to have them experience, or have people over and have them see that healthy food can taste so good.
Really delicious, absolutely.
Yeah,
and I think I listened to, because you had so many links to videos, clips that you've done, and there was one with a peek into your refrigerator, and and I saw a couple different ones where you were talking about flatbreads that you made from chickpeas, and delicious.
I mean, right. We just Friday night we did their sokas, the chickpea flour tortillas, and we did like a bunch of different toppings and pizzas with the soka. I mean, or the cauliflower crust, that's a big thing right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's and people, people feel better. They just don't have the same kind of digestive issues, or tiredness, or feeling bloated, or after they eat like that.
So the inflammation goes down, and you're eating so nutrient dense.
Right.
So your body's happy.
Your body's happy.
It has clean energy.
That's what you want. Right. Exactly. And that's why I'm a big juicer. I mean, I know there's a lot of controversy about juice, and I get a lot of questions.
I like to juice too. Mm-hmm.
You do? What do you love to juice? What do you put in your juice?
I usually do romaine, cucumber, celery, lemon, ginger, and then I'll add whatever I have. So if there's a parsley, if I have like nice carrots from the garden, I'll add a couple. I usually try and keep the sugar low, so I'll do either some carrot and a little piece of green apple or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I'll add a little bit of something else if I have a dandelion green or whatever's fresh and beautiful that day.
And that's it. That's exactly.
It takes my appetite away. I mean, I feel like my cells are so nourished that I'm not that hungry. It just, I mean, I still eat a meal, but I think my cells feel nourished, so I don't have these like incredible sugar up and downs and cravings as much.
Right. That's it. You just nailed it. You nailed it on the head. I mean, that's what it's done for me too. My sugar cravings have gone away, and I just, if you can get those nutrients into your cells at the cellular level, because that's hard to do these days, because when you have to digest food and it has to go through the whole process, a lot of times it doesn't make it to the cellular level. So, I don't put any fruit in my juices, but I feel like it's a liquid vitamin and it's a blood purifier.
Okay.
So,
do you do lemon?
I do lemon and ginger. That kind of cuts those greens.
Right.
But I know when you look at a bottle, and I don't love the cold pressed, but I'm a purist. So I juice and I drink it right away, or there's a lot of places in my area that I can go to, and they they fresh juices for me or other,
nice.
so Whole Foods even. And it's really, I think when you juice and you drink it right away, the nutrients are more,
Absolutely.
intact.
Right.
But you can look at the label of a cold pressed juice and you have an apple in there, which is healthy. An apple is healthy, or a pear. I mean, but it's 18 to 20 grams of sugar in that juice. And I still, at the end of the day, think that that's a lot of sugar going into your bloodstream.
I think so, too.
And not having any buffer, right? I mean, if it was a smoothie with the fruit, you have the buffer. Yeah. But then you have, with these juices, you don't have the buffer. And that to me is a little scary. So that's why I do it myself or go have it made these days. And yeah, I think it's been life-changing. Like, I think that's really helped in terms of the cravings and the energy and just, feeling really, really healthy and good.
Do you think if you, like for people just starting out, because I think if you just put a whole bunch of kale and, it's just so not palatable and it's tough.
It is.
I mean, to start maybe with a romaine and something that's a little easier.
Romaine has tons of nutrients, and people don't think that. Romaine has 2.5 cups of romaine has like 6 or 7 grams of protein even.
Wow,
so
I didn't know that.
It's really awesome. I mean, I love your suggestion because that's what I do. My base is celery, cucumber, lemon, ginger. And a lot of times I do throw in parsley because it's a major detoxifier for organs and for heavy metals in the body. But then I'll just, a lot of times I'll just, throw in the romaine, or I'll just, like you do, if I have dandelion greens, which is a huge detoxifier too. They're definitely bitter, but, or
right. They really are.
But you're right, like going full-fledged kale and some of these greens are not so palatable. You're right. So, I mean, celery is so cleansing. It has these mineral salt compounds concentrated that help rebuild hydrochloric acid in your gut. And they cleanse your liver, and they take neurotransmitters to your brain. I mean, and just think, celery is just like this throwaway vegetable. But if you juice it on its own, I have to tell you, my acid reflux GERD clients, it goes away. Wow. They go off their meds. It's crazy. I mean, wow. I thought it would help a lot of times with other issues too, like digestion, but it hasn't been as big of a help with that as it has with any kind of acid reflux GERD, which is sort of it is a digestive issue, but it's really interesting. So I think it's more powerful in terms of rebuilding the hydrochloric acid in your gut. Cucumber cleanses the kidneys, and, with a lot of kidney stones and a lot of us eating animal protein, it's really great to do. So those two are so cheap and easy.
And there's a lot of water in them, so they make a nice juice.
Exactly. You can even do celery, cucumber, lemon, and be golden.
That's
and
very
it's
refreshing.
Not expensive. So there's so many options. But the thing I think that stops people is like getting a juicer. I just have a juicer. I don't have anything fancy. I just have a Breville that isn't fancy. It's definitely a heat source juicer. It's only like $100 and maybe $50, $60 on Amazon. But it's getting the juicer, juicing, and then cleaning the juicer. That's the problem.
Cleaning the juicer, yeah. I have an Omega, and I got really fast at cleaning it now. I mean, it does take a little practice, I think. But when you start to feel better, and it's just hardwiring a habit, too. I think that's...
Yeah.
But when you feel better, you kind of start the day, hardwire a new habit, and cleaning it just seems like a labor of love then. I don't know.
I know. True. Exactly.
Did you kind of start that? Was that one of the things that you did in the beginning?
Yeah. Well, you mean when I had the cancer? Or,
Yeah.
yeah. So I know that's how I got into it, but at those days, I didn't have a juicer. I went to a juice place, and all they had was like straight carrot juice or straight beet juice. And then they did like spinach, and they were awful. I just remember
Right.
plugging my nose and downing those juices and going, "Oh, God, help me."
How do you feel about the carrot?
I think it's so nutrient dense. I love carrots and I love beets. I'm fine with a carrot. I have an issue with it being like all carrot juice. I mean, I guess it just depends on the person. It's just a lot of sugar. Those,
Right.
the carrot and the beet, but they are full of nutrients. So I eat carrots and I cook carrots and I eat beets. But and that's just being kind of a little bit of an extremist. I just don't juice them because when I juice beets, you have to peel me off the ceiling. The same with carrots. That sugar. I'm a mess. I'm just flying high and I'm like, oh my God, get me down, please.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, but I think that's just me, and I think others would probably be fine. But again, I still go back to the idea that, and I think we get so much sugar throughout our diet and life that I just personally try to, low key it as much as I can.
Especially if someone's fighting cancer, sure.
Yes.
Because that tends
to,
it shuts the immune system down.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely do feel like that's one of the biggies.
But it's a good way to get all the veggies in.
Yeah. And it in that documentary that I was talking about earlier that you're going to watch, What the Health, you'll just be blown away because they really talk so much about the animal protein being more of an issue for cancer than the sugar. That was fascinating to me.
That is fascinating.
Mm-hmm. I did.
It's kind of, some people just don't do great with grains, and sometimes it's like, well, what do you eat then?
I know.
It gets difficult, but I think everyone's very different.
Right. In their makeup and what they, can digest, what works for them. You're right. Everybody is so different and what foods work for them and what foods don't.
Right.
So,
and maybe
I know
that's
for me,
your digestion at the time too. I guess first focus on, they say, getting a pound of vegetables, mostly vegetables and fruits, but more vegetables.
Yeah.
Mostly getting that in, and then maybe having some healthy fats next.
Yeah, exactly.
And then experiment with what works for you after that. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I am a believer that unlimited veggies is the way to go. I also think unlimited fruit, but it's eating the fruit, and it's eating, just eating real food with its fiber intact. And I think that fruit is the fountain of youth. So I'm not saying to completely overdo the fruit, but I do feel like we all need some. We've been scared of fruit these last years, too, because of sugar and because of candida and yeast and all the things. And so I feel like that's been an issue, but fruit's been around for a long time. And then on top of that, it is the fiber that's crucial because we need to, have food go in and out as quickly as possible. We don't want it sitting in our gut and fermenting. And so that's really important. And then it's the protein aspect, which helps keep you satiated. But I tell clients to divide their weight by 3, and that's the ample enough amount of protein that they need for the day. So, and most people are eating double that. Because they're having eggs for breakfast, and then they're having maybe chicken on their salad for lunch, and then they're having salmon for dinner. So 4 ounces of salmon, chicken are 30 grams of protein, and usually people need 30, 40, 50 grams in the day. So these people are eating 100 grams. So I just think that, but I think protein is important. I love vegan protein sources with legumes and beans, if they agree with you, and quinoa and hemp seeds and avocado and veggies. And, I love edamame, whole sources of soy that are non-GMO, and tempeh. So I love all of that stuff for, adding into your diet with the animal protein if you're an animal protein eater. So, because I think it lightens the load a bit for you.
Yeah.
And then I love the healthy fat. So again, not to overdo it. I think that's starting to get overdone a bit with
I think so too. Yeah.
coconut oil.
I was going a little too heavy on that. I'm still drinking coffee. I'm trying to get off of it, but I was putting the butter and
you were doing the bulk
oil in the coffee, and just a little too heavy on the fats, I think.
Right. I know, and that's again. I think same here. I was doing that same thing.
Do you have a favorite snack?
I do. I have a couple of them. I make for the cleanse a super seed bar that is on my site.
Okay.
That I love. So I do eat that as a snack a lot because I don't like protein bars out there on the market. And it's super, super easy to make. I mean, it's massively easy. It's very filling. So that's one of my snacks. And then these coconut yogurt kefirs lately are something I'm a bit obsessed with still. I started making my own like 4 or 5 years ago, and it was really easy in the blender. I have it on my site as well. But now all these companies have come out with these kefirs that you can buy, and they're fermented coconut meat. And God, they're so yummy. They're like creamy and they're like yogurt.
Yes.
But they're not dairy, and I'm a bit obsessed with those.
And I guess they're low in sugar.
Yeah, they're low in sugar. They actually don't have any protein, which is not the greatest. So a lot of times I'll just like add a couple tablespoons of hemp seeds to it and some chopped walnuts to like add in some protein.
Mm-hmm. That sounds delicious.
So and some berries. That's kind of one of my favorite things. And I love tempeh. I marinate tempeh all different ways. I mean, 4 ounces of tempeh is 20 grams of protein. Wow. So I eat it like bacon. So I'll have a juice, and then I'll have a couple slices of tempeh that has been marinated and cooked and like is in the refrigerator. And tempeh
so something you could grab, which is
nice. Exactly. And it's fermented, so it's full of beneficial bacteria. It also doesn't have the estrogen effects because it's been fermented.
Okay.
Like soy does, like tofu.
Right.
So people do still get afraid of it when they've been involved with breast cancer, but they shouldn't be.
Okay.
So that's the one thing, and so those are kind of my 3 favorite things at the moment.
That sounds great. I'm definitely going to go back to your website again for some recipes. I think there was a Caesar salad with chickpea croutons.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
There was a bunch of things I saw that I was like, wow, that looks really good. And, it's just exciting to try new things and just enjoy what you're eating.
Yes. It sounds like you said something about a garden. You have your own garden?
I don't have my own garden. I wish I did. But I was very active in both my kids' 2 different schools. They have organic gardens, and they were tying the lesson into the garden. So that was really neat because the kids got to see all new vegetables, and we let them take some home. The next step was to kind of introduce recipes and make things. So I'm hoping to do that.
Okay.
That's really neat. I'm in a CSA and I get vegetables delivered.
Okay.
So I mean it's tougher on the East Coast.
Yeah. Yes. definitely.
It's a little more seasonal, but I guess, they say it's very healthy to eat what's seasonal and local, so.
Yeah, exactly. I try to do that. With the cleanse, we do change the menu 4 times a year, so we're more seasonal.
That's really neat.
So,
well, I think people should definitely check out your website, and they can.
Thank you.
Starting in August, you're going to have that new 21-day do-it-yourself cleanse.
Yeah.
It's www.elissagoodman.com. And
exactly.
There's so many really interesting lifestyle tips and wonderful interviews and recipes. Your cleanses sound amazing.
Thank you.
And it's just been, and your book, Cancer Hacks, A Holistic Guide to Overcoming Your Fears and Healing Cancer. So they can go on your website and get that link, or go right to Amazon and check out Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and learn, all new yummy recipes.
Yes, definitely. And if they have any questions, hopefully this week, next week, I go on my Ask Elissa page, and I'd love to help in any way I can, anybody, because I feel like I've been through so many different, health issues. I was telling you, hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's, the cancer, the shingles, the viruses. It's kind of endless. Chronic fatigue.
15-minute consults?
Yes. I am.
Okay.
Yes.
So people
absolutely.
can go to your site and hook up with you for a 15-minute consult to see how you can help?
Yes. Absolutely.
So that's really wonderful.
Yeah. Yep. So a lot of different ways that I can help, because that's my mission.
Great. Well, I encourage people to do that, because you sound like you really have a lot of knowledge and wonderful information, and you've had quite a journey. Yes.
But I think that the journey, I look back and I feel, wow, thankful for this journey, as a lot of people do when they get past it, that it was all meant to be, so that I could help others and that I could help myself and my girls.
Right.
So it's been so worth it, all of the hard work.
Right.
So.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today.
Well,
and for all this wonderful information.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Beat Cancer Answer. If you learned just one thing today about how to prevent, cope with, or beat cancer, then we have succeeded in our mission. For more information or assistance, visit our website at www.BeatCancer.Org. Remember to sign up for our educational email series and get your free gift. Join in the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, or Google+, where you can meet others who think just like you. We appreciate all of your feedback and love your suggestions. Please also remember to rate us on iTunes. Your positive ratings help us to get discovered so we can save more lives. Thank you again for listening, and best wishes for good health from all of us at BeatCancer.Org.